Alright, so now, or I guess since this will be a second part, this is the second part of my tier list of every single Pokemon. I did Gen 1 last time, so now I will be doing all of the Gen 2 Pokemon. I already explained what each tier means in the last video, so just go watch that if you want to know what each tier means. So yeah, let's just get started. Chikorita. I would say I like Chikorita. It's got a cute design, but like it doesn't do that much for me. And the thing is, Meganium is actually probably one of the like anytime I play Gen 2, Meganium is actually one of the starters I use more often. But at the end of the day, Chikorita's just never been that interesting to me, especially compared to its evolutions. Its shape is just a bit awkward to me. Now, Bayleaf, I actually really like Bayleaf. I think it has a really cool design, and it's honestly probably one of my favorite middle stage starters. It's not in love or higher, mainly because at the end of the day, Meganium as a whole, Meganium, by the way, is also in really like, because as I said before, Meganium is actually one of the starters I use more often when I play Gen 2. But at the end of the day, it's still it's it's honestly one of the worst starters in the entire series in terms of like playthrough wise, which sucks. But yeah, it they got cool designs. I especially like the flower on Meganium. And I like how they're like based off like sauropods, which sauropods are some of my favorite dinosaurs. But at the end of the day, they don't do a lot for me like some of the other grass starters do, which is why they're in like low really like. Cyndaquil, Cyndaquil and Quilava are both really likes as well. I think Cyndaquil just has a really cute design, and it's just a friend at the end of the day. Quilava has a really cool design, and Typhlosion is probably the starter I use most when I play Gen 2. So I've had a lot of experience since I've played Heart Gold Soul Silver like probably 4 times. 4 or 5 times at this point. So yeah, I have a lot of experience with these two, and they've been MVPs a lot. Typhlosion is easily my favorite Gen 2 starter. I'd probably put it, and is the first love of Gen 2. I would probably put it. I probably would put it around there. It's got an awesome design, and of course it did kind of get butchered by the 3D sprites, if you know. But I still think it's really cool. I have a lot of experience with it. And there was this one Typhlosion deck I really enjoyed playing in. I think it was a Gen 4 era Typhlosion. I don't remember off the top of my head, but it was a lot of fun to use. And yeah, so that's one of the big reasons why it's been given such a high spot. But yeah, it's the starter I use most often in Gen 2, and it's just awesome. Totodile, I would say Totodile is like a very low, really like. I love its design, but for Alligator is the one I have the least experience with. I think I've only had one playthrough ever where I used for Alligator, but it's cute, and sometimes that's enough. Croconaw is just a bit too goofy to be in really like. I do kind of like what's going on, but like I feel it's too round. But like the head too round, the body is like too round. I don't know how else to describe it, but yeah, it's just it is pretty. it's one of the weaker middle stage Evos, in my opinion. Feraligatr is a low, really like. I don't have much experience with it, but I will say there was this Feraligatr deck in the Gen 7 era that wasn't very good, but it was really fun to like theory craft and try to make like a really good version of. It didn't end up working, but it was fun to try out. And that like keeps it from being in like Sentret. Sentret's just kind of honestly, Sentret's just kind of there for me. Like, it's got a cool design, I guess, but it's just why is I don't know why Kabuto's in dislike. It should be an indifferent towards. Sorry for that, but yeah, Sentret is just kind of there. Furret is getting really like almost exclusively because of the Furret walking meme. That meme is, I think it's just really cute. And yeah, that's the only reason it's getting really like. Otherwise, it would be like a mid like, honestly. Hoothoot has a pretty cool design, but I've never used it. Like, I don't think I've. No, yeah, I have not had a single playthrough ever where I've used Hoothoot or Noctowl. Because anytime I play Gen 2, if I'm getting a flying type, I normally get either a Pidgey or a Spearow. Or, like, I just wait to get one of the legendaries. So, yeah, it's just there. Never used it, but its design is pretty cool. Noctowl just has a really basic design, in my opinion, that just it's there. I've never used it, so it doesn't get any points in that regard. So yeah, it's just there. Ledyba is just kind of there. It's just a basic ladybug, not much else. I do kind of like the thing that's got going on with its like arm or hand things, but it's nowhere near enough to save it from indifferent towards. Ledian is one of the worst Pokemon ever in terms of like stats and stuff. But I think it's got a kind of cool design, and I have used it, I think, once. So it get and it was like it was at least interesting to use. I think it gets like Mach Punch or something, which I find really funny. So that keeps it from being in indifferent towards. Spinarak I like spiders, so Spinarak gets some points just by being a spider. But I've only used it I think once or twice ever, and I've never even used it in the TCG. So yeah, I don't have much experience with Spinarak or Ariados. So yeah, but Ariados, I actually really like Ariados. Like, I just think its design is such a step up from Spinarak. And as I said already, spiders are. I really like spiders, so it was just kind of gonna get a good spot at either way. So yeah, Crobat. Crobat is one of my favorite Pokemon ever. Like, I I have used Crobat in so many playthroughs because like Zubat and Golbat are like super common Pokemon, and it's always been one of my favorite members on any team. Like, especially in Nuzlocke I've done for like Black and White 2 and Heart Gold Soul Silver. Golbat is always like one of the MVPs of the team. And it has an awesome design, and it's just such a I remember now. There was a Pokemon Y Nuzlocke I did where Crobat was the absolute MVP and got me through so many like rough scenarios. So yeah, Crobat is one of my favorite Pokemon ever. I just realized all three of the current members of like the Big 16 or Adore are poison types. Which, I mean, poison is one of my favorite types, so that kind of makes sense, but kind of interesting. Chinchou. Chinchou is cute. I like its little anglerfish thing. I like it's cute. And I don't have many opinions on it because Lantern's a Pokemon I've like only used a couple times ever. And I mean there was that one Lantern in TCG that like had an ability similar to EXP share that I used a bit, but it was never like something stellar. But Chinchou's cute. Lantern is in a similar boat where it's cute. I've only used it a couple times ever, so I don't have that much sentimental value towards it. And it's just kind of there. It's cute, but not much else for me. Pichu is very cute, and it just puts a smile on my face anytime I see it. And like it's a member of the Pikachu family, and like Pikachu just kind of I've always really liked Pikachu, so I feel it's in a similar regard. Cleffa. Cleffa is getting indifferent towards simply because it's related to my absolute least favorite Pokemon in Clefairy. And like in general, I've never cared for the Clefable line in general, but as soon as Clefairy became my least favorite Pokemon, I held it in even less regard. But it's like cute enough to keep out of like dislike. Igglybuff, I have no. Actually, yeah, I don't really have any opinions on Igglybuff. There is like that one, like fun fact that like it bounces. It just like bounces a lot, which I think is kind of funny. But that's like the only thing I know about Igglybuff. It's just it's one of the just most it's just there Pokemon ever. I don't have any like major opinions on it. Togepi is cute. Togetic is also cute. They've never been like that good, and like even though you get them anytime you play Gen 2, they're just kind of there. They're cute, and I did like Togepi in the anime, but even then it was never something that was super memorable to me, you know, which is why they're only in like Natu is just kind of there for me. Xatu at least has a pretty cool design, but it's also just kind of there for me. I think I've used it once ever. So yeah, Mareep is adorable. Flaffy is also adorable. And Mareep, of course, is a very common Pokemon. So I have a lot of experience with it, especially in Gen 2 and Black and White 2. Ampharos is one of my favorite Pokemon ever. Probably about there. I've used it on plenty of playthroughs, and it's always been like a valued member of my team. I just think it's got a really cool design. Its Mega is honestly pretty cool as one of the only electric dragons, or is Ampharos is dragon type, right? Hold on, let me. Yeah, it is electric dragon type, which I find really cool, and I do like the thing that's got going on with its hair. So yeah, it's one of my favorite Pokemon out there. Bellossom's cute, but I prefer Vileplume. Now Marill and Azumarill. Okay, I'm gonna say now, Marill and Azumarill are both among my favorite Pokemon. Marill would probably be there, and Azumarill would be probably about there. And here's the reason. Well, I'll start with Azumarill. I've used it a couple times. It's been fun to use. Pure Power is a really fun or is it pure or huge power? I think it's huge power for Azumarill. I can never remember which one has huge power, which one has pure power. I think it's pure power because I think huge power is Metachan's ability. But yeah, I think that's really cool. Water Fairy's a pretty interesting type. And I just think it has a really nice design as like one of the probably my favorite like potential Pika clone. So yeah, and then Marill. Marill is a similar case to Azumarill, but Marill has a close place in my heart because it's the only Pokemon in the entire series who, in any capacity, could be trans. Because if you didn't know, before Gen 6, there was a glitch that could happen where basically Azurill had, I think, 75% female, 25% male, while Marill was just a pure 50-50. So when your Azurill would evolve into Marill, there's a chance that it would transition from female to male. And I just think that is awesome. Marill is like the trans rep. Marill is one of the few trans reps in Pokemon, and I just think that is awesome. On top of like it already being just adorable. So yeah, Marill, trans icon. Sudowoodo is funny, and I like it. Politoed is very low, really but I like its design. I like its coloring. And I like how it was like one of the main members of like Weather Wars and Paris Trap for a while. Hoppip is cute, but not much else. Same with Skiploom, and honestly, same with Jumpluff. They're cute, but not much else for me. Aipom, I have no opinions on Aipom. Sunkern, I do not like Sunkern. I don't like its design. I don't like how weak it is. It's just kind of boring to me. Sunflora is just kind of there for me. It gets saved from dislike because I like its design, and I do think like the low frame rate Sunflora in that one like gym leader challenge in Scarlet and Violet are like funny, but that's about it. Yama is kind of cool, but like Yamega does so much with it that it just never does. Wooper is... I just think Wooper is adorable. It just... Wooper's Wooper. Love it. Quagsire is just a big, silly goofball. Honestly, would probably be like... probably like around... honestly, probably about here. It's just a big, silly goofball of a Pokemon that just goes through life happy as ever. And, like, the whole thing about it being, like, the best counter to, like, the strongest Pokemon ever simply because it has Unaware is so funny. And, like, just does so much for it. It's... And it's just a happy little guy. Now Espeon is the second member of the Big 16. Espeon is my favorite evolution by far, and it's always been a close Pokemon to me, as like anytime I get an Eevee, like there's a pretty good chance I'll end up evolving it into Espeon. It's just because I really like Espeon's design, and it's just always been fun to use for me. And most importantly is Espeon has my single favorite card in the entirety of the Pokemon TCG, being Espeon GX. The first Pokemon I ever had in like a semi-good deck. because I played like a really bad version of Espeon Garbodor back in the Gen 7 era, and I had so much fun playing that deck. And Espeon GX just ended up becoming my favorite card ever to this day. So yeah, that's why Espeon is the second member of the Big 16. Umbreon is the most popular evolution, and I don't really have any arguments against it. It's just a really cool Pokemon. Like, all the praises that Umbreon's been given, I pretty much agree with. It's just awesome. Murkrow is a pretty cool Pokemon, but I prefer Honchkrow. Galarian Slowking is... Galarian Slowking is a very low really like. I do like its design, and like the concept behind like the Shellder like fully taking over is actually really cool. Regular Slowking is also very low really like. I just think they're both like very interesting concepts taken in different ways. But Slowbro would still be my favorite of the group. Misdreavus is also a Pokemon I have a lot of fondness for. I really like its design, but Mismagius does more for me. Unknown is one of my least favorite Pokemon ever, and it's simply because it's the most wasted potential of any Pokemon ever. And like, if you've seen any like least favorite Pokemon list, Unknown is probably on there, and for good reason. Every single reason people have for disliking Unknown, I agree with, for the most part. The one thing saving it from being like my least favorite Pokemon, outside of Clefairy just being a fucking demon, is the fact that there are a couple Unknown I did enjoy using in the TCG. In particular, the Ancient Origins Unknown I really liked using in Vespiquen. But outside of that, it's like objectively one of the worst Pokemon ever. Wobbuffet is really funny. That's about it. Girafarig is just kind of there for me, but it does have a cool concept and does have the I forgot the name for it, but like the thing where the word is saying both forwards and backwards. Palindrome. I really like how it's like based off a palindrome, but I feel they could have done a lot more with like the tail, which granted they do eventually do with Farigiraf, but that was 7 generations after it was introduced. So Pineco is just kind of there for me. Fortress is also kind of just there for me, but it explodes, which is funny. Dunsparce is just kind of there for me as well, but it's kind of an iconic just there Pokemon, so yeah. Gligar is cute, but not much else for me. Gliscor will be, like, once again, it's one of those Gen 2 pre-Evos that it's just kind of like the later stage does a lot more for me. Steelix is really awesome. Love the design. I've used it a couple times in TCG. Kind of fun to use. And yeah, it's just pretty cool. Snubbull, I don't have any opinions on Snubbull. Gramble at least has that one deck from the Gen 7 area that's kind of fun, but outside of that, I have no opinions on it. Quillfish, I don't have any opinions on Quillfish. Actually, okay, its design is kind of cool. Scizor is the third member of the Big 16. Scizor is, in my opinion, one of the coolest Pokemon ever. Awesome design, awesome typing, awesome ability. Like, it is just one of the absolute coolest Pokemon ever. Like, in just all regards. And just look at it, man. It deserves to be up here. Shuckle is only here because it's like one of the biggest gimmick Pokemon ever, but it's just really funny. So gets a pass. Heracross. Oh, Heracross is a tough one. Not because it's either like at the top of really like or the bottom of love. Because like awesome design, awesome typing. I have used it on a couple occasions, and it was like pretty fun to use, even in the TCG. Honestly, yeah, Heracross is like at the bottom of love because like I don't have as many experiences with it as like Pokemon above it, or it just doesn't have aspects that I love as much as Pokemon ahead of it. But it's just a really cool Pokemon at the end of the day. Sneasel, I really like Sneasel. Awesome design, pretty cool typing, but once again, Weavile does so much more for me than Sneasel does. And also Sneasel, because of how uncommon Sneasel is, especially in earlier gens, I don't have as much to say about it. Because I would like not get it until like super late. Especially in I believe Gen 2, like you could only get it like post game, along with like Murkrow and Mischievous, which suck. Teddiursa and Ursaring, I'm gonna just put Ursaring in the same tier. Were for the longest time like Pokemon I had no opinions on until Legends Arceus came out, and Ursaluna ended up becoming one of my favorite Pokemon ever. We'll get to Ursaluna like 7 years from now. But yeah, these two I just have a lot of love for nowadays. And in fact, my first shiny in Legends Arceus was a Teddiursa. And I eventually evolved it all the way up into a shiny Ursaluna. And it's honestly one of my like more prized Pokemon. So yeah, Ursaluna kind of carries them, but they're pretty cool. Slugma is kind of cool. Magcargo, I really like the concept of Magcargo. It's just that it sucks because it has like one of the worst defensive typings like ever. But it's pretty cool. Swinub is cute, not much else for me. Piloswine has a pretty cool design, but not much else for me. Galarian and Corsola, I do like the dead coral idea, but Corsola does it cooler. I don't really have any opinions on regular Corsola. I guess its design is kind of cute, but not much else. Remoraid's just kind of a basic fish. Octillery is weird. Like, I do like how it's an octopus, and, like, I do like that it's based off, like, a tank, but it still doesn't do that much for me. And I guess there was, like, the Abyssal Hand Octillery back in the Gen 6 era. That was fun to use, but not much else. Delibird is just kind of there, but I like the Christmas theme. Mantine is just kind of there, but I like it. Skarmory is pretty cool, but I've only used it like twice. Houndour is just kind of there for me. Same with Houndoom. I've never used them. Their designs are okay, but not much else for me. Kendra's pretty cool. Like, I like the fact that it was, at one point, like, one of the better, like, Swift Swim users in, like, Gen 5. Which I think was pretty cool. But it's always just kind of been there for me outside of that. It's a cool Pokemon, and I do like how it's, like, the first non-Dragonite Dragon type. But more Dragon types down the line did it better. Phanpy is cute. Donphan's just pretty cool in general. Porygon 2 continues Porygon, which I think is a really cool Pokemon. Stantler is just one of the most there Pokemon ever. Smeargle would have been higher if it wasn't for the fact it completely fucked over Darkrai, which Darkrai we will get to. is one of my favorite Pokemon ever, and Smeargle kind of ruined it because Smeargle caused Smeargle caused Darkrai's signature move to get nerfed, even though it then was not able to learn it afterwards. Which why? Like, why would you do my boy Darkrai like that? But yeah, Tyrogue is just kind of there for me. Hitmontop is only in love because it's like a really cool design. Yeah, that's about it. It's just got a really cool design, and I just always like it. Smoochum, I do not like Smoochum. Really weird design. Elekid is kind of cool, but not like super cool. Same with Magby. Miltank, I do not like Miltank. It's not even because of Whitney's Miltank. I've never found Whitney to be that much of a issue to fight against. It's just that I don't like Miltank's design at all. And the Astral Radiance Miltank is actually like kind of annoying to play against. So, yeah. It just doesn't do like anything for me. Blissey is just kind of there. I don't really care for the Chansey line as a whole. But like it's got a cool design, and I do think it's funny that it's remained as the highest HP for since Gen 2. Raiku's really cool. Entei is my least favorite of the Legendary Beast. Suicune is probably my favorite of the Legendary Beast. I don't really care for the Legendary Beast line that much, but like they're all like interesting in their own ways. Raikou and Suicune I've used in decks, and they're both pretty fun to use. I've never really used Entei in the deck, which is why it's below it. But yeah, these two are really cool. This one is just kind of there for me. Larvitar, I don't have that many opinions on Larvitar. Same with Pupitar, I don't have any opinions on. Tyranitar. Okay, on one hand, I really like Tyranitar's design, its typing, and like I get why it's a lot of people's favorite, or like one of their favorites. It's just never been that interesting to me, I guess. Like especially compared to later pseudos, it's just kind of there for me. Maybe if I like used it more often, it would be higher, but eh. So yeah, it's just there for me. Lugia is the fourth member of the Big 16. It's always been one of my favorite legendaries ever. In fact, it's my favorite mascot legendary ever. It's just got an awesome design, awesome typing, awesome lore. It's just an awesome Pokemon. It's the reason why I will always pick Soul Silver over Heart Gold. Yeah, just love Lugia so much. And well, outside of Lugia V-Star, which is one of my least favorite decks to go against ever, outside of that, it's been pretty fun to use in the past of the TCG, just especially a Lugia EX from the Gen 6 era. That was a fun, like, tech attacker. Ho-Oh is really cool, but I prefer Lugia vastly to it. Celebi has grown on me with time. It used to be like low like, but I really like its design, and like it's been pretty fun to use in the TCG every now and then, so yeah. So yeah, that is Gen 1 and 2 done. I will continue next time with Gen 3 Pokemon, I may try to do Gen 3 and 4 all at once, but we'll see about that. So yeah, that's about it.